Well, g'day, folks. Something didn't play cricket today, but we're here. Welcome aboard. Nice to have you on board. And yes, we're headed live. Folks, welcome aboard. It is Humpday today, and we are at 2000 hours. Oh, yes, folks, the clocks did change. I do apologise, but the clocks did change. And so here we go. Everything is trucking along nicely. So let's have a look who's in the chat. First of all is young Mr. Nick. G'day, Nick. How you going, buddy? Welcome aboard. Nice to have you here. Joe, my mate. Welcome aboard, buddy. Nice to have you here. We are now, we're sailing solo this week because without clocks, the fact that our clocks changed. So what happened was we've gone forward 1 hour, which makes it not 6 a.m. but 5 a.m. in Eastern. So and then when you guys go out of daylight saving, we'll drop back another hour for you guys. So it won't be 5 a.m. It'll be 4 a.m. your time at 8 p.m. ours. Here we go. All right. Next, Nick is saying he just had his eyes checked up yesterday at the doctor's. The doctor lives on the Postal route that he works on. She was very surprised when he walked in the door. She moved to a clinic he goes to this summer. Joe, to Nick, you said that over in Jimmy's live last night. How did it all go? Nick is saying, I see the time has changed now. At least when it goes back in my spring, your fall, I'll be very close to coming down under. Yep, that's right. Joe is saying, I love that you're on before Jimmy now. Yeah, mate, sorry, hey. I just figure that it's easier if I get done before Jimmy gets done, then you know, we could just flow one after the other. Joe is saying, just let me log my mental wellness on my iPhone. How you doing, buddy? I hope you're doing well. G'day, mate. How are you? Hey, Mr. Burjo. How you going, buddy? Nice to see you on the chat. It's been a little while since we've spoked. At any rate, let's have a look at what's coming up in the future. Well, I am talking about two cruises. 2025 is going to be quite a huge affair, I think, in terms of cruising down under, well, not only down under, but around the world, and in terms of how it's affecting Helping Hands for Cruising. Let me have a look in the chat very quickly. Nick is saying to Joe, my eyes are in great health. I am required to get seen twice a year to monitor my health. Good that you don't have to change your prescription. Burjo, good mate. Awesome. Well, let me tell you what's coming up first. So in Helping Hands for Cruising right now, we have our 501c3 for those in the U.S. The 501c3 has just passed the Florida state legislature, and now all we needed to do is hit the national, and then we'll be totally excited off our nut. Same thing applies for Oz. We just have to complete a couple of things and get the Oz stuff set up, and Helping Hands for Cruising will be a legit charity around the world. Joe is saying that's good news, and yes it is. All right, so that's that, and okay. Now I need to do something here because and yes, Joe, you are quite right. And let me just add this to the chat. Yep, you're right. Thank you. Yep, you're quite right. It has been a long time coming, and more importantly, it is a game winner. So there you go. Certainly looking forward to all the good things that that it'll bring and the benefits that it'll bring. Okay, so let's start off with what cruises are up right now. I know Kenny's going on his first self-funded cruise in 37 days. So that's going to be awesome. We certainly changed his life around. But we do have a recipient going on Amy's cruise, which is in 382 days. That leaves on the 21st of October, which would be sort of just finishing off the same time period that the inaugural Helping Hands for Cruising group cruise started, which is 2 years. 2 years, yep. A year's gone by. Can you believe it? We've done a year. Can you believe it? I cannot believe it, really. Seriously, I can't. Anyway, so this recipient will be going on Amy's group cruise. The next group cruise that's going to come up is in 456 days. And this is how we're going to kick off 2025. It's going to start off with the Ducks cruise on the Downunder Cruisers group cruise on the 2nd of January 2025. Guys, it's going to be an amazing cruise. I will give you a little bit of info on that shortly. Then in 619 days, Ocean to Ocean's group cruise, that's Bruce. He'll be doing a group cruise on the 15th of June, it's on the Norwegian Encore, I believe, and it'll be going out of Seattle, heading up towards Alaska. That's a bucket list cruise for us. So for those of you that are on the other side of the pond, go ahead, please, go ahead. Go in and have a look. Enjoy. Then comes in 786 days, this one is going to be the mother of all cruises. It's going to be the most iconic cruise I will ever have had the opportunity to go on. It is the rock and roll tribute cruise that's going to be on the Icon of the Seas, and that will be on the 29th of November 2025. Guys, what a way to end a year on a huge cruise like that. It's going to be absolutely unbelievable. Well, we'll get into all the details for all those cruises shortly. But let's have a look and see what's going on in the chat right now. So Joe is saying he hasn't been following Helping Hands for Cruising for long, but he's enjoying what you guys are doing. Mate, thank you heaps. And you know what, mate? You certainly could be a help for us down under. The fact that you're in Dubbo does not make any difference, mate. The fact that you're in Dubbo means that you are committed, and hey, any help will do. We really appreciate all the help. Nick is saying 219 days till he's Florida, New York City, Canada, and Australia train trips and plane adventure across the world. Joe is saying he has a concert to go to on Friday, March the 8th, 2024. He cannot wait. Still deciding on whether to go down with Langley's coaches in Dubbo or go down on your own. Hey, mate, first of all, yes, you said it's in Sydney. I forgot who the artist was, and number one. And number two, why drive yourself when you can relax and let somebody else do the driving? That's my opinion. But that's just my 2 cents worth. Well, let me get this stuck in here, see if I can get it up and running. And we shall... No, it's not working. It's not working the way I want it to work. So let's just get that out of the way. Let's just bring this up and we'll kill that. And what I'm going to do is actually try and bring up another one that will actually, let me play another setup here and see if I can get this to work this way. Because you know what? We are trying to be sophisticated. You know sophisticated? You know what that is? That's a 4-letter word meaning sophisticated. I mean sophisticated. So let's see how we go with this one. If it works, it works. All right, let's do this. Let's go here. Let's go here. Let's go here. Let's try this trick. See if I can bring it in. Okay, and we'll do this. This goes with that at Suzanne's. Did you know that? Let's get this thing rolling, and here we go. What an awesome cruise. I know it's going to be really good fun when we actually go on it. Um, and yes, we're going to be taking in, it's going on the 2nd of January. It's a 15-night cruise, and it's going from Sydney, headed up to New Caledonia, then Vanuatu, then up into good old Fiji, where we're going to do a couple of stops in Fiji, and then we're headed back home. So it's going to be an absolutely amazing, amazing time. And so we'll have to wait and see what happens. I don't know about you guys, but I'm certainly going to have a bucket load of fun. So let's get back into the chat. Joe is saying the artist is none other than Irish country crooner Daniel O'Connell. He'll still be coaching it to Lithgow, then a train to Sydney Central. Mate, that's going to be the easy way to do it. Had a blast last weekend, predicted the winners of the 3 grand finals, Collingwood in the AFL, Newcastle in the NRL, and Penrith in the NRL men's. Whoa, Newcastle, wow, that's cool. Joe says all he needs now is a supercars team with a Camaro to win Bathurst this weekend, and then all is complete. I didn't think Camaros were racing anymore. I didn't think there were any more Camaros around. I thought they were all done and dusted. At any rate, mate, you're going to have an absolute blast. I know, because the number of people, the number of things you're going to be catching up on is going to be absolutely awesome. So I'm so jealous for you, or rather, I'm not jealous. I'm envious, because I think you will have an amazing time. All right. So now, I don't have a video for Amy's cruise or for Bruce's cruise to Alaska, and I'd like to get one of those so we can actually play it. But folks, this is coming up now. Is the cruise that is drawing a lot of attention as we speak. And so we're hoping that we will actually get as much success out of this one as we possibly can. So I'm going to let you have a look at this one, and then you guys can tell me what you think. Let me just get this ball rolling, and then we can get going. Well, folks, the info is out. We are actually going on the Icon of the Seas, and the cruise is actually going to be to the West Caribbean. So we're taking in places like Roatan, Coco Cay. We're taking in. To be honest with you, I have just forgotten all the different stops that we're going to be doing. But there's going to be 4. It's a 7-night cruise, and we're going to be doing the West Caribbean. So it's going to be an absolute bucket load of fun. And I know that Ross from Orange Cone Vlogs is setting up some exciting stuff for that particular cruise. So 4 bands that I know of that are going to be playing tributes, and we're going to be having some concerts on board ship, and we're also going to be having some concerts at a couple of locations as well. So that's the news so far with regard to the cruises coming up. So we're absolutely having a blast, looking forward to what's coming up, and you never know. You might be joining us. Well, let's hope you do. Joe is saying that he's going to do the Sydney Harbour Bridge climb as well. Mate, the bridge climb, there is no way known in hell you'd catch me on top of the bridge. As much as it is your bucket list, mate, I'm scared of heights. So I can stand on top of a cruise ship, I can get into an aircraft and fly at 40,000 feet above sea level, but there's nowhere known I can stand on top of the bridge with only being tethered by a harness and a piece of lanyard. Yeah, I'm a devout coward, openly admitted. So there we go. Yeah, but you know what? I wish you all the luck, mate. I think you're going to enjoy it. You're going to have an absolute ball climbing the bridge, and also some of the other things I might suggest is, if you have enough time, and I don't know if you've done it before, but do one of those Captain Cook tours, ones that take you around the harbour. And if you cop onto one that's early enough, if you get there early enough and you're there around about lunchtime-ish, do one that takes you around the harbour and gives you lunch. They are awesome. They take you to the most awesome places. So looking forward to all that. Now let's just truck on a bit and give you a bit of a heads up, because some of the news that's going on around Australia right now is that we've got some new cruise ships coming down under. One of them is going to be home porting in Melbourne, and I was driving around Station Pier, which is where that ship is going to come in and dock. And there seemed to be a bit of work going on around the Station Pier area, but it looks like there's a new cruise terminal that is, or at least the cruise terminal has been revamped. So we wait and see what happens. It's going to be awesome. Joe is saying he'll make sure if he can get there for one of those. Mate, it's just fun. It's just, as you know, Sydney Harbour is the most gorgeous harbour in the world. What can I say? And yeah, it's amazing. Joe is saying that he did a dinner cruise up in Port Stephens with Moonshadow TQC a couple of years ago for $65 for a 3-course meal and 3.5 hours on the water. Mate, that's absolutely awesome. You need to do that. Nick's a coward. Nick can go in well, says me. No bridge climb. Mate, you come all the way down here to go to Australia Zoo, climb on 2 trains, and that's it. You got to be a daredevil, mate. You won't get on a cruise ship, so why not climb the bridge? Half the fun. Enjoy the time. Enjoy the time. All right. So, also, what can I say? um, what can I say? It's coming into summer. Uh, we're just in spring at the moment, but you know what? We had the most awesomest day yesterday. It was 22 degrees C, and then came the rain, and it went from 22 down to 14, and that was frickin' freezing. So there we go. Um, Back to jumpers today, and then we're going to have some cold snaps. Winter's not letting us go just yet, but it will within the next couple of days or so, and then we'll be getting back to the warmth, and you guys can have the cold. Thank you very much. Joe is saying that he's afraid of heights too. He's going to push himself to see if he can do it. Mate, I'll tell you what, I will clap you all the way to the top. And I know you're going to find it 100% exhilarating, so enjoy it. Nick is saying that he'll fly, no problem with that, but he is a coward on that as well. And Joe is saying I can do 20,000 feet in a turboprop aircraft and 2,000 feet in a helicopter. That's, mate. Where do you get contact with Oh, you got a mate who flies a helicopter, hey? So yeah, that's awesome. Now, just to talk you through things a minute, you can see that on the top here we've got helping hands. Whoops, wrong hand. Helping hands for cruising up in that side, and we've got a QR code here, folks. If you donate in this QR code, you'll be donating in Aussie dollars. If you go to this QR code over here above my head, this one you can donate, and you'll be donating in US dollars, and obviously the Ducks logo there. So at any rate, folks, Helping Hands for Cruising will be most appreciative of anything that you donate, even if it is 1 cent. No, you can't do 1 cent. Even if it is 5 cents or whatever your lowest denomination is, we would appreciate that. Joe is saying that he's got a mate in Orange who runs his own businesses, Limitless Helicopters, Orange, and Lost World Helicopters, Blue Mountains. OMG. Oh my goodness me. Nick, you got to fly in a helicopter around the Blue Mountains. Oh, wait a minute. You're going on the Indian Pacific, which will take you through the Blue Mountains twice. But if you get an opportunity, mate, spend a little bit of time there. Go and see the Three Sisters. It's called Blue Mountains for a reason. Nick is saying he's doing a dinner cruise off Sydney Harbour. That's set up by Journey Beyond, the people behind the Indian Pacific. It's the day after his arrival off the eastbound Indian Pacific into Sydney. You're going to enjoy that. Looking at Sydney by night on the and having that dinner cruise. Let me tell you, Sydney Harbour is gorgeous. And where the boats come on in for that cruise is right in Circular Quay, which is where the it's the main ferry port for all the ferries going in and out of the Sydney CBD, but it's also right next door to the overseas cruise terminal, which is where all the cruise ships come on in, and you may just be lucky enough to see a cruise ship come in and go out. So that'll be absolutely awesome. If you can get that opportunity, well, mate, you're going to be able to have some absolute fun. Now, Joe is saying you'll be able to get off the Indian Pacific at a place called Katoomba. Make sure you go up and say hello to a friend of his at his cafe at the top of the stairs near the station. Yeah, Katoomba. What an awesome place. That whole area there is actually quite exquisite. And Sydney Harbour is a stunner of a harbour to actually go into. So the good news, folks, is that we'll just all be having fun, enjoying the cruises that come on in. Now, as I said, the good news, we've got Celebrity Edge also making its way down. It'll be doing the repositioning cruise, I believe, end of this month, start of next. and it'll be coming out of Singapore, coming down to Sydney, and then it'll be home porting in Sydney and doing cruises around Australia and New Zealand. And let me see. Nick, you're going to be doing a guided tour on your last full day in Australia from Sydney up to the Blue Mountains. You're going to be doing the steep. Yeah, you're going to see the Three Sisters. That's awesome. Do the steep railway, and then there's also they've got a cart like a cable car that goes along as well. That's also fun. That's awesome. Joe is saying that the Blue Mountains got its name due to. Don't tell him, Joe. Don't tell him. I wanted him to find out and tell us. But that's okay. You've already done it. So it's got its name due to the blue colouring caused by the evaporation of oil from the eucalyptus. And Joe is saying that would be with Australia-wide coaches, the Grey Line tour operator in Sydney. So Joe knows his stuff. He knows all his contacts. Mate, Joe, you are an awesome resource to have. Wish you were down here in Melbourne with us. We would be having absolute fun. Anyway, let me continue. So we'll have the Celebrity Edge, which is it's only a few years old, but it's one of the newer, in inverted commas, style ships coming down. We will have a brand new ship, the Resilient Lady, which will be home porting in Melbourne. Okay, Nick says, I remember that. I learnt that from the Indian Pacific documentation that he's seen. Awesome. Joe says he knows the original founder of the Australia-wide coaches. Oh, mate. You know a celebrity. We've got, as I said, the Resilient Lady. I believe the Carnival Luminosa is coming back down and will be home porting Sydney and Brisbane, along with the Carnival Splendor, I believe, because that one usually comes down. I believe the Spirit is no more, so that is that's been scrapped. The tour company he's using is called FJ Tours in Sydney. We will also be having, I believe, the Grand Princess is coming back down under, and the Coral Princess, and I believe one more, I'm not sure which. We will also be having the odd Azamara ship coming in, and the odd Silver Seas also sailing around. As well as P&O will have its, P&O Australia will have its regular set of 4 ships, the Pacific Dawn, the Pacific Explorer, the Pacific Adventurer, and I can't remember what the 4th one is. Joe agrees that it's nice, that's going to be awesome. All we need is a lot of fun, guys. Australia is the place to be. Seriously. You enjoy, if you come down and you do cruising down under, it's the place to be. You can't be here for 5 minutes. You can do a 32 days, I believe. 32-day circumnavigation cruise. You can do a 5-night cruise from Sydney down to Tasmania and have a look at Jonesy's territory. Well, Jonesy doesn't actually own it, but he owns a bit of it, just a slight part of it. But that's where Jonesy lives, in Tasmania. We call it the Apple Isle because it looks like an apple, and it's an exquisite place to visit. You get to look at, you can then sail from either Melbourne or Sydney and go across to New Zealand and do the trip around, or you can do what we're doing, do the South Pacific, or you can just have a look at parts of Australia, like go to from say Sydney down to Melbourne, to Adelaide, to Kangaroo Island, and then maybe to Perth, and then back again. So there's plenty to see, plenty to do, and plenty to enjoy. Let me see. Nick says they give the option on the eastbound Indian Pacific to get off and tour the Blue Mountains, but you have to take another local train back to Sydney. He'd rather stay on the train and come back later. That's cool. Nick says since it's so close to Sydney itself, it is quite close. Joe's saying there's a lot of things you can do here. Visit my hometown, and you'll be able to visit one of the oldest jails in New South Wales. Ride and bike around the largest open range zoo in New South Wales and have a cold brew. Yeah, that's right. You're not. Hang on, one of the oldest jails. That would be. I didn't know that Dubbo had a jail, but I know that Dubbo was one of the oldest towns there, and yet did some serious brewing. And they do have a fantastic open range zoo. But Nick, you'll miss out on Dubbo this time. You've got to come back for a longer stay. You can have it at one of the city's two awesome breweries. The old Dubbo jail, it's right in the main street. I'd forgotten, Joe. Thank you for refreshing my memory. So yeah, good old Dubbo jail. A lot of things in Dubbo, but there was also another one in New South Wales. I forgot now. Broad, not starts with a B. You know what? You know when it'll come to me? It'll come to me at 3:00 in the morning when I'm half asleep. I get up to go to the bathroom, and then all of a sudden it hits me, and I won't be able to sleep again because I'll need to do a live stream to tell everybody what it was that I'd forgotten. Joe's saying he's going to rub this in. He gets into the old Dubbo jail for free. Now wait a minute, Joe. Important question. How do you get into the Dubbo jail? Okay, I'm only joking. Not as a crim though, right? You get in as a visitor. Yeah, so we're looking for some excellent time to come. There's going to be some very, very fantastic things happening fairly shortly. So we'll wait and see how things go. Joe is saying you'll be riding through his part of the world on the way through to Sydney on the Indian Pacific. Towns like Orange and Bathurst. That's right, they do go through those places. Nick is saying he'll be in Australia for 25 days, and with taking all 4 trains across the continent, he will see more of the country than most people see in a lifetime. That is true. That is very true. Joe is saying being a resident of Dubbo Regional LGA. Okay, you win, buddy. I was just stirring. As long as you have an awesome opportunity to take people there and an awesome opportunity to have a look at history, don't ever let history fall by the wayside. You let it fall by the wayside, we don't learn anything. So let's learn from history. So, Icon of the Seas. Man, that's a huge ship. I was looking at a picture the other day. Somebody put up a picture of the Icon of the Seas versus the Titanic. And the reason why was, at the time, the Titanic was the biggest ship. So that was amazing, just to look at how big shipping has become these days. Joe is saying you can also get into Taronga Zoo. Cheap as again. He's a local, $19 for him to get into. Wow. But I tell you what, Taronga Western Plains Zoo, it's awesome. Well. G'day, Mr. Jimmy. Welcome aboard. Nice to have you here. Hope I didn't wake you up too soon. we're having a chat here about things that Joe can get in for free or for little bits. Nick is saying that he'll be going westbound on the Indian Pacific first. He has an overnight flight from Darwin into Sydney, so he'll have a morning in town before he boards the train headed to Perth. Jimmy's saying hi there to everybody. Joe's saying good day back. Actually, Jimmy, I'll have to ask you this off air at another point, because I was actually looking for something and I couldn't find it, and you've got it, and I'd like to have it so that we can do some justice for this group cruise that we're going on together. Unfortunately, it's not the one that's at the beginning of 2025, but it's the one at the tail end. So, and that's going to be the mother of all cruises for that year for us. So we're looking forward to being there. We're looking forward to sailing with Jimmy and with anybody else who comes along with us. So, yeah. Ooh, you got it. Yeah, you've got it. Mate, you've got it. I probably did have it, but I don't know where it is. So I'd need to see if I can get it off you. It's a video, mate. It's a video. Nick and Joe are the only other ones chatting in here. So Jimmy is saying g'day to both of them. So that's awesome. I know that there's a bucket load of you sitting in the background. Well, come on out. Come on out. And if you are watching this on the replay, thank you very much for watching on the replay. Just understand that I'm probably sleeping while you're awake. Yeah, that's the problem, being on the correct side of the clock. I mean, the other side of the clock. Joe saying to Nick, the reverse of the eastbound Katoomba, Lithgow, Orange, Bathurst, Parks, Broken Hill, Adelaide, all the way to Perth. Mate, you know your trains. You know your journey. G'day, Jimmy from Nick. Okay, so good news for those of you that are coming across the pond to come and sail down under is all the restrictions have gone. If you wear a mask, it's because you want to, not because you have to. And yeah, it's exciting. Joe's saying if you get the chance to do a trip to Harndorf while off train in Adelaide, I highly suggest doing that. Nick, we went to Harndorf and I was grossly disappointed. And why was I disappointed? Because I couldn't get any spaghetti ice anywhere. And I know that if I was going to get some spaghetti ice, I'd be able to film that and send it off to young Mr. Darian. But yeah, Harndorf, we stopped in there when I was in Adelaide doing some training. Both Ilana and I stopped in there with some friends of ours. We stopped in there and we had a meal, and the meal was scrumptious but big. So there we go. Well. Good morning, ma'am. How are you, Najuma? Nice to have you on board. Miss you, young lady. I miss you. Okay, so yes. Hey, Najuma. Question, and I want a yes or no. I mean, you know what I mean. November 2025 on the Rock and Roll Tribute Cruise on the Iconic. We're doing the Western Caribbean. Are you going to join us? Could you join us? It would be nice to have you join us. Leaving out of Miami and then going down to Cozumel. Cozumel, Roatan, Coco Cay, and a few other bits and pieces. So we're looking forward to having a lot of fun. Nick is saying choices for his off-train experiences will become available closer to the departure time. He hasn't been able to choose yet. So, Nick, if you had your options, what would you choose? Yeah, Jimmy, it does sound like fun, because we're going to be there making sure that it is fun, aren't we? Yes, it sounds good. Najuma, all you got to do right now is put $100 down to book your cabin. And what I'm going to suggest is find someone to share with. And if you find someone to share with, then it just halves it. So get yourself a cabin that you can share with somebody, and then you know what? The rest is fun. You're going to have an awesome time. Now you're looking forward to most, Sean, waking up early and picking me up at Melbourne Airport. Depends on how early, Nick. I might get you to have breakfast there and then wait for me. No, I wouldn't. I'll probably be the one with the sign. Or the ladder, step ladder, because I know you're short. Yes, sir. Nick, Adelaide has Hindorf or a wine tour. To be decided, yeah. Look, it's up to you, mate. Hindorf it's Germantown. What can I say? It's Germantown in Adelaide. And it's it's a pretty place, but there's no spaghetti ice, which was disappointing. I was highly disappointed because I wanted to do a real good vlog of spaghetti ice for Darien, and there we go. Jimmy, I'm having one of these in your honor, mate. It's a JW Black. Nowhere near as smooth as the blue, but it goes down well. Okay, so Nick is saying also a city sides tour as well. Definitely interesting experiences since it's so different compared to the typical train. You know what? Do the Sydney tour. When the train gets into Adelaide, it doesn't leave. I think you get in mid-morning or early morning, and then it leaves again in the late afternoon or evening. Do a tour around Adelaide. It is quite a pretty little look. It is a capital city. It's the capital city of South Australia, but it feels like a country town. So does Perth. They both feel like country towns, and the reason why I say that is because they're nowhere near in population as Melbourne or Sydney, or even the Gold Coast or Brisbane. But they do have a bucket load of character, and in actual fact, Adelaide was never the penal colony. Adelaide was always free settlers, so it's amazing. So Jimmy, that's exactly what I'm drinking. What you want? Neat, Johnny Walker Black. But I do prefer the blue. And I've only ever, well, Ilana must have rarely cared, because it was before we were married, and she bought me a nice bottle of JW Blue. Smooth as. I was so taken aback. Anyway, enough of that. Joe says he knows of a distillery in Tasmania. Which one's that, Joe? Do you know what it's called? In actual fact, a lot of distilleries in down here, New South Wales, and also Tasmania, changed their manufacture from, and they were manufacturing alcohols like gin and so forth, and other spirits. They had changed their production line into making hand sanitizer. So for a while they were making a screaming fortune because hand sanitizer was hard to come by during a certain period, which I shall remain nameless on. I'll call it the Voldemort time frame. You know, the name that shall not be mentioned. Joe is saying the one he knows is none such distillery at Sorel. Well, that's cool. I'll have to check that up. I might go and ask Jonesy. Let's go check it out together. I don't know. You never know. At any rate, what can I say, folks? We're just looking forward to having some fun. Nick, his first impression of Australia was the 90s episode of The Simpsons where they visit. It's funny if they portray Aussies as criminals, which I know isn't true, but a stereotype from history. Well, it's partly true because in the early 1600s, 1700s and 1800s, the Brits stuck a bucket load of people on board not a cruise ship, but on board ships, and sent them off to penal colonies here. So a lot of the Australian vernacular and way of life is based on a criminal background. So there we go. Joe is saying one such example of a distillery that did that was Ned Whiskey. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right, it was. Yep. So a lot of the... Well, they had to figure out a way to go make money. Joe's saying they do gin and whiskey. Rex Burden and his son Chris run the distillery. Rex distills gin and Chris distills whiskey. Oh my goodness me. Tell me this. I wonder whether or not there's huge arguments in their house. You know, father reckons what he brews is the best, and the son reckons what he brews is the best. I reckon that would be an amazing discussion over dinner. Crazy things, folks, crazy things. So we've seen the videos on the Downunder Cruisers and also the Icon of the Seas. So the Celebrity Edge, 2nd of January 2025. Man, I always like this picture. Imagine this. You come in a couple of days before, you watch the fireworks for New Year's Eve, you hit the hay, you wake up sometime middle of January the 1st, whenever you feel like it, and then you get together on this, so you while away the 1st of January so that you can sink into the new year. 2nd of January, we all meet up at the overseas passenger terminal at Circular Quay. We get on board the Celebrity Edge, go to our cabins. You've got the Opera House on your port side, left-hand side, and on the starboard side we've got the terminal. In front of you is the rest of all the ferries that run backwards and forwards. And then the next thing you look at, it's about 4-ish or so, and the Celebrity Edge starts to pull away from the dock, pulls back towards the harbour bridge, which is just underneath you, which is just above you, I beg your pardon, it's just above you. And then the next thing is, it starts sailing out towards the heads and out to open ocean. What a view, what an opportunity, that'd be great. Alright, Joe is saying there isn't any, they do their own thing. Well, you mean they don't get together for dinner at any point? He says he also knows of another distillery. This is the one in his area. It's called Blackgate Distillery. It's 75 kilometres from Dubbo in a little village called Menduran. That's cool. And what do they distill? Is it gin or is it whiskey as well? Or is it rum? Could it be rum? You guys don't have sugar down that way, do you? You don't have big the sugar farms are more up Bundy way, which is more Queensland. So there we go. Okay, so yeah, we're looking forward to all the cruises that are coming out, not only Australia, but around the world. All the new ships, so we'll have Icon of the Seas, and then the Wanderer of the Seas just came out beforehand, so it's Icon, and then there's going to be the Utopia, which is another huge mongrel. And then also Princess are bringing out the Sun Princess, which is also another huge thing. The ships seem to be getting bigger and bigger all the time, which is interesting. Okay, Joe is saying that Blackgate do whiskey and rum, and they do a terrific peated whiskey. Oh, interesting. I have a cousin who runs the whiskey show. Not only does he do the whiskey show, but I think he does the rum show as well. That's where they hire out places in, say, for example, a hotel in say the CBD of Melbourne, and then they run a show. They get all the whiskey manufacturers or sellers to put up their wares, and then they promote their whiskey, and you get a chance to taste. That's where I got this glass from. I shouldn't say that. David might be watching. At any rate, it will be it would be fun to go and try and taste and see how we go. All right. So, folks, we're coming to almost towards the hour. I've basically given you all the news I've got. I know that people like Jimmy will be getting ready for his live, and with that in mind, I think we should all get ready and go and raid Jimmy, and see if we can give him a bit of a good time, so that he can end up having an awesome show, and at the end of it, have a brilliant day. Now, let me just see. Joe's saying, a word of advice: if you have their peated whiskey, don't drink it with a mixer. The peat will be enhanced by the mixer. Mate, the only way I know how to drink a whiskey is to drink it neat. And so I won't give it a shot. I won't take the shot straight down. I'll actually sip on it as I go. That's the way I drink my whiskey. And I don't have whiskey every day. I have it every so often. So there we go. All right, now giving you a heads up what's happening. Downunder Cruisers will be running their normal live stream on Friday night. Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, which will equate to 1 p.m. here. We leave the 12 p.m. time zone because of daylight saving. So we will do our live stream at 1 p.m. Melbourne time. Then on Tuesday, Helping Hands for Cruising will be doing a segment at 8 p.m. Melbourne time, which will be about 5 p.m. 5 p.m. Eastern Standard, which will be a bit early for anybody else up there. So I won't be competing with them in their time frame, like we do when we go out of daylight saving and you guys come into daylight saving. So Tuesday will be Helping Hands for Cruising, and then next week, Wednesday, another Ducks show, and maybe, you never know, I might have some other info. Anyway, folks, I'm going to wish you all a very pleasant day. For those across the pond, for those on our side of the pond, have an awesome evening. And so Jimmy won't be going live in about 5 minutes or so. Jimmy will be doing a live tomorrow night. We'll be doing the live at 6 p.m. his time, which will be equal to 6, 7, 8, 9 a.m. our time, Joe. So I think tomorrow morning you'll be working while he's busy doing his cocktail hour. All right, folks. I'm going to say have a good night, have a good day, and we shall catch up with you later. Take it easy. Have a ball.